Hi students, we're rolling along here in English 121, English composition, moving from week 1 into week 2, which means that we are adding more steps of the writing process to your skill set. This week we're going to tackle some new material, but we're going to be building on some of what you've already developed in week 1 in order to do that. Here we are in the classroom. Let's take a look at week 2. This week is subtitled Parts of a Whole, Seeing Ourselves Through Writing. And one of the things we're trying to do throughout the course of this class is figure out different ways to look at our own skills, our own experience, and to filter that forward through into our academic journey and into the career field or profession that we hope to see ourselves in after we graduate. We've got a few activities this week, a discussion forum, another one of the writing notebooks, and your first written assignment will be due. Here are the weekly learning outcomes we're going to work on accomplishing and a little bit of an introduction text to get you started. Let's take a look at this discussion board first because it requires you to use an outside resource that I think is pretty cool. I think it's going to be a really valuable tool. This discussion board is called A Look into Your Field, Mission, Vision, and Values. Try saying that out loud. And what that means is we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at your own personal values and see if those align with the kinds of companies, the kinds of fields that you think you are interested in at this point. So we're going to ask you to make sure you've read the textbook first. Chapters 4 and 5 are assigned this week. Then we're going to jump over to this ONET online resource tool. We've worked really closely with people in the Career Services office here at UAGC to make sure that we're kind of getting you out in front of this career research process, something that you're doing outside of class, something that you're thinking about probably every day as you work through these classes, trying to see where they're taking you. Well, we're going to be able to dip into that a little bit this week. So we're going to take a look at this ONET online resource, and what we're trying to do there is just identify some prospective employers, organizations that are important to the field that you are studying. This is what that resource looks like. There is so much information on here, but really what you're going to be doing is doing a little bit of a search here for occupations. And that's going to be unique to each of you taking this class. If you're interested in whatever your major is, you have a better sense of some of these possible career fields than I do. Type things into this keyword search bar and see what comes up. You're going to find a variety of different links that's going to give you more information about particular job titles, but also particular employers. Now at this stage, obviously, you don't know necessarily where it is you're going to end up. You might not even be fully certain of what career you're going to end up in, and that's totally okay. Just pursue something that is interesting to you that is related to your career field. So if you are currently living in California and you find an employer that's based in New York and you know that you're not going to move to New York when you graduate, you can still pursue it as far as this assignment is concerned. You're going to be able to find information on the websites that's going to be really helpful to completing this discussion board. And it's also going to help you, as I said, kind of dip into the field a little bit and learn more about it. There's all kinds of other resources here that I think are really worth exploring, but let's not get too far off the track as we continue to work on our week 2 discussion. So any occupation or industry is going to be governed by a set of core values, and figuring out what those values are and how they match up with our own personal sense of what we want out of life, what we want out of a career, that's what this discussion is all about. Once you've been able to locate some information on the ONET resource and then really walk through thinking that through on the discussion, you're going to have to go through and really describe what you found, explain how that information that you found links up with your own sensibilities. You're going to integrate a quote or paraphrase where appropriate from the individual sites that you looked at, and you're going to make connections between your own interests and abilities and what you're finding in that career field. I don't want to say you're trying to assess whether you're cut out for it or not, But I think there's a very real sense in which that those people who are happiest and most successful in their careers are the ones who found a career that matches up to their own instincts, their own experience, their own interests. And so this is an opportunity to really explore that and talk about it a little bit on the discussion board. You're going to respond to some classmates, and there's a very particular way that you're going to want to frame those responses as you complete the work on the Week 2 discussion board. Let's look ahead to the Week 2 writing notebook. This week we're going to talk a little bit about body paragraphs and essay structure. Previously we looked at the thesis, and we described how the thesis really controls the ideas for your paper. Well, this is going to give us a little bit of a better sense at how to actually structure that paper. Like before, you're going to download one of these templates. I've got one pulled up here. This is what it looks like, and you're going to just kind of walk through a series of questions that ask you to interact with a couple of different resources or web pages and reply to them very reflectively. I want you to really think deeply about these things. These are not yes or no, right or wrong questions. I would love to see, a few sentences for each of these. Really develop your ideas here. And you're going to look back to this Week 1 writing notebook, to the work you did there. You're going to plug in some information there, and then you're going to kind of move ahead and come up with some sample ways of developing a paper. Really important to think about how the thesis and the body paragraphs and the essay structure all work together, because the big assignment in Week 2 is your first written assignment in this class, a personal, professional narrative paper. Take a look at this material here. I'm not going to do it right now. Watch this video. It gives you some added insight into how to think about this assignment. It's not the guidelines. It simply kind of pulls the curtain back and tries to show you a little bit about what really we're looking for when you work on this assignment. Basically, what we want you to do is use very memorable detail, very vivid description as you talk about the topics in this paper. One thing that's worth mentioning is that all of the assignments in this class really work together. So I'd really ask you to take a little bit of a look here to the other written assignments that are coming up, the Week 3 written assignment and the Week 5 final paper. The material you work on here in Week 2 is going to be able to be used as you continue your development. We're asking you to look at or to describe an experience that shaped who you are. We're all made up of a variety of different traits, character traits, different ideas and ideals. All of those things were formed at some point. Now, a lot of times those things are formed over time through a variety of experiences, but we're asking you to focus on one particular experience that significantly shaped you. I want you to really describe that with clear and descriptive language. And then I want you to interpret those events, the events that brought you to your choice of major and career path. Are those things linked? Are they connected in any way? Why is your major or career field meaningful to you? Why are you interested in this to begin with? I want you to think about an example of a major challenge you have to achieving your goal. Of course, one of those challenges might just be completing your degree, but I want you to look a little bit more deeply into that. Are there different skills, different aspects to the career that are particularly challenging? And then I want you to think about your personal ethos that you developed in Week 1 and describe a little bit about how that perfectly prepares you to overcome the challenges that you've been talking about. Full essay here, you're going to have an introduction and a conclusion, as well as those body paragraphs to develop the different things that we talked about. Really important to make sure that you've done the reading for the week and spend some time with that ONET resource. It's really robust. There's a lot of information there. Some of it is applicable to this class, to these assignments, and some of it's just interesting and fun as you continue to explore your career field, your academic major, and write about it, as we're doing here in English 121. Good luck with Week 2.